after the conversation on harnessing the power of HR technology, it is time to open up an invigorating dialogue on inherently human, the way to lead in today's world of work. Joining me on the screen are Yuvaraj Srivastava, Group CHRO, Makemytrip, also the member of Economic Times HR World Advisory Board, and Colin Mendes, Head HR, Voltas Beko. Welcome, Colin and Yuvraj. The frame is all yours.
Hi, Colin, and great to catch up again. You know, interesting opportunity for both of us to really connect and talk about something which is very, very relevant and quite contextual in today's world when I think that people are talking about Corona, people are talking about hybrid workplace, people are talking about digital readiness of the organization. One thought which comes to my mind most of the time is that, while we are talking about digitization, when we are talking about organizations moving to digital world, what is that which will take the organizations to the next level? How will this really be leading the way in the future for the organizations? And while I was thinking this, Colin, I felt a few things which came to my mind very, very naturally was, I think first I was thinking that, when it comes to digitization and leading the way in the digital world, organizations needs to really be very sure about their own preparedness. I think many a times what I have observed that organizations may jump into providing solution and working on the digital world or digital solutions which may not be in tune with the organization's readiness. And if that be so, will that really be successful, or it will continue to be aspirational more from the organizational's point of view and not in line with the expectations of people? Comes up in my mind. So I think that first, what I was thinking is that clearly preparing the organization is one of the important elements of getting into the digital world. And when I say preparing the organization, what I mean is that, preparing the people who will be the man behind the machine, because machines can perform as effectively as they are governed and guided. So I think the overall digital quotient, understanding of the digital technologies, I think becomes very important. And to do that, I feel that organizations should focus on hiring quality talent which understands technology right from the word go, rather than really inducting people and training them in digital. So that was first thing I was thinking as the important element of a digitization and going forward with the digitization. And second, what I was also thinking is that I think organizations need to really understand its own need hierarchy when it comes to digitization, right? You may find a solution which may be great, might be done by somebody else, but are you ready as an organization? Are your people who are going to use the technology, are they ready? Is something which again becomes very important. So I think that the need hierarchy, and what I mean by need hierarchy is that, organization which has just started a small organization, I don't think they need to really jump into a full suite solution. I think for them, it may be important to really get onto the database first, figure out a solution, put a data structure to that so that it can be transported to the technology platform at a later point of time in a very, very robust way. So preparing the organization, looking at the need state of the organization. And third, where I was looking at is you have a lot of solutions available in across all the businesses, whether business, functions, HR, finance, customer service. Identifying the right solution for the organization is again third element which I felt was critical and important. And what I meant by that is, and my personal experience has been, Colin, that you look for the solution, but it doesn't have too much of a capability of customizing it to your requirements. In that case, what happens? You try to start aligning the organization to the digital platform. And that creates a huge amount of chaos in terms of bringing these two things together. So how do you really look at solution which can really get customized to your need specifically? And also, looking at the post-service, how the service of the digital platform becomes important. Are the providers in position to give you a great solution and a great service? I personally have had experience of working with a digital platform for the last 22 years. And I realized, and I've worked with different organizations, different service providers. I've had experience of working with the great technologies, but the moment you raise a ticket, I think somebody sitting abroad will take 24 hours or 36 hours to come back to you
Yeah,
and
yeah,
give you a solution. And then finally it comes up that this is how the architecture is. It cannot really be changed. And you can't really go and explain it to the people that, hey, this cannot really be solved because there is an architectural issue. So I think I always felt that, uh, getting digital is great, getting digital platforms is great, but how do you see from the lens of the organizational readiness becomes very, very critical and important. So as I said, that, looking at the need of the organization, preparing the organization for the same thing, and finding the right solution, which is more to do with the customization and, service uh, centricity of the organization and ability to solve for it. So I think these were some of the thoughts which are coming to my mind. And I felt that, again, behind this, HR plays an important role driving this whole transformation, and wanted to also figure out from you and get some understanding from you that, uh, what are the capabilities, what are the competences, what are the HR leadership behaviors which you feel would really be of help for the organization to pave the way for the organizations to get into the next orbit of digitization wherever they are, or in the even in the initial phase of the digitization for that matter. Colin, it will be great to really hear it from you. From yeah.
yeah. So thanks, Yuvraj. In fact, it's a great pleasure to meet you today. And and I was listening intensely towards what you were just mentioning in terms of, there are so many products available, right? But there's no one size that fits all
Yeah.
approach, and I think that we all agree. Um, when I was reflecting on a very important point on leadership behaviors, what you spoke about, capabilities, and what's actually changed. I was trying to think about, what's really changed and what's really changed in the last 18 months, so to say, or the last 2 years, so to say. It's kind of deja vu moment for all of us
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And, when I was reflecting, on it, 2020, it's taught us a number of lessons. It's helped us reflect on our own life. It's given us space. It's made us grateful for health. It's made us also keep our hope and spirits alive, really, in that
Absolutely. Yeah.
sense. Yeah. And 2021, a time in history where, all of us, have christened the new normal in what is called more the, new familiar abnormal. Right. And yeah, and all this has really accelerated the need to reimagine and redefine workspace,
Yeah.
and the behaviors that really drive it forward. And so when you're talking about behaviors, I'm saying, what's actually changed, and therefore, what's the behavior that makes us do something different going forward. And as we walk into 2022, and I know it's early days of that period, but if you look at it from a workspace, we might even see a situation where some of the employees may never return to physical office buildings. There's also a focus on positive, a forward-looking aspects. For instance, a clear charter, and we are all seeing it today, a clear charter for business recovery. And a lot of businesses have gone through a lot of turmoil. The government itself is re-looking at, what they need, how much they need to lock down. And certain places all over the country are doing different kinds of strategies and approaches to ensure that business recovery is high. Yeah. And all this has led, to my mind, really to how do we embrace disruption and how do we focus on a new set of behaviors or capabilities which are essential, really, in making the journey of survival to sustainability for organizations. Because finally leadership is all about ensuring that the organization not only survives in a situation as tough as this, but also is sustainable for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
I know, like, for example, in your case and in many other industries, travel, for example, or airlines or hospitality, have been some of the industries that have really gone through the worst of the situation. Yeah. So to my mind, I think, if I look at, some of the behavioral aspects that from a leadership perspective, I think change management really comes right on top to me. Yeah. Where everyone, it's everybody's business now. Yeah. And today, if you look at it, even organizations are getting redesigned. With keeping in mind the future of work. Today organizations have introduced different new work categories. We're talking about liquid workforce. We're talking about a hybrid workforce. We're talking about an enhanced gig workforce. And to my mind, and probably you'd agree with me, Yuvraj, this will constitute more than 15% of organizations' headcount going forward.
Yep.
That's a
Yep.
significant
Yes.
shift. That's really so the mindset really needs to get reoriented to now we're going to have a different format of workforce.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. The second thing is, of course, with all that's changed thus far, there are going to be new skills, there are going to be new expectations, yeah, and therefore a need for all of us to really focus on building critical skills, including social skills, competencies that will pave the way for organization growth.
Yeah.
And for example, of course, the ability to create and recreate. Really, I would not say create, but recreate a skill inventory. Yeah, you basically look at reskilling, upskilling, and even multi-skilling. And this it's so important today when we're talking about organization success over a longer period of time. And this, to my mind, I think would really be a visa for develop and retain talent over a period of time. Yeah. Beyond said, I think the most important point that we are all talking about is digital literacy, digital data literacy, and of course tech savviness. I think that goes beyond doubt that these are some of the capabilities I see going forward. And of course, I think with all that's happening and organizations getting rejigged, the managerial and future leadership bench would need to be also looked at. Yeah. How do we really focus more on developing, coaching, role modeling? I think these are some areas that I think will make a difference. And of course, creating a more having a more creative, innovative mindset. Fostering a more learning mindset, continuous, and we all say that we are all now going to be lifelong learners. I'm sure you'll be talking about it as well. But I think the important aspect is about also bringing about more flexibility, adaptability, and given all that's transpired through almost everyone over the last last 18 months, I would say focus on more emotional and social intelligence. I think these are some of the areas where recognizing emotions, feelings, and of course understanding the social aspect of the workforce will help build a better ecosystem. Yeah, so these are some of the things that I think came top of my mind. But I think beyond doubt, the first is the mindset to get people to change, and that's probably something that came to my mind. And digital transformation really is going to be right at the apex center, and some of the points, some of the questions that came to my mind as we move ahead in terms of how much the digital transformation is going to affect all of us. Some of the points to ponder, the points to think about: what's really changing? Yeah. Is our operating model changing? Are we adopting new technology? Is it going to be simple plug and play? I mean, what's it going to be?
Yes.
From a people perspective, do we have talent? Do we have the talent we need? Or do we really need to buy or borrow talent from the market? The third is, how do we create consistent change and consistent iteration at every point in time? And to me, digital transformation really will be instrumental in fundamentally altering the way we work, altering the way we live, and altering the way we really relate with each other. And that is something that I think you and me will experience it even more. And we've probably seen that shift really taking place to the maximum extent. And from a workspace point of view, I thought about digital transformation really encompassing three broad elements, people, processes, and technology. Because I believe that that's going to be fundamental in terms of the change that's going to take place in more in our workspace. Yeah, and I think it's important for all of us to really invest in resources. The importance of allocating more time or more time for the buck that will create competitive advantage for organizations in the future, and really having a growth mindset. So because digital transformation is important for us, but finally, where is it going to take us? Yeah. So a growth mindset, the belief, the skills, the talent can always get developed in many ways. Yeah. And I think but the shift in the mindset, I think, will be the first fundamental change for a successful cultural change that will take place. Yeah. Yeah, and I was just at a point. How do I look at it personally? Where being a person who looks at who've been wanting to see what are the large high level changes that can take place. I personally look at analytics. Yeah. I see analytics emerging as a future digital works in the future digital workspace to a very large extent. And from an HR perspective, measuring employee productivity is going to be top on the agenda. Process efficiency, collaborative patterns in terms of how collaboration will happen more effectively. Um, Driving cultural transformation, as well as a lot of diversity and inclusion and equity that we're all talking about. How much more can you bring in there? And the future focus would therefore, to my mind, we're doing all this, but what is all this all about? It's going to be more on organization optimization. Finally, we want to see that how much more we can do with less. Yeah. And with the goal to really improve ROI, for the workforce, and to really be more competitive, and really to energize and empower employees to do more than they can do. And that's the way I really look at it. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was coming to a very interesting point, in terms of the technology point of it that we spoke about, and really, if you look at various barriers that are currently there in the system, because for every change there's bound to be barriers, and therefore there is technological barriers. There are cultural barriers that really come in the way of organization growth and enhancement and moving forward in the new world of work. So really, what are some of those barriers, according to you, Yuvraj, that you've been experiencing, or you feel that will be roadblocks in some way for organizations?
No, sure. I think that while I was listening to you, Colin, on the behavioral side, it was going on in my mind that I also alluded to some of the points in the earlier piece, that if you look at the barriers and what really holds organizations back in terms of going whole hog in terms of digital transformation, getting people ready, I was trying to look at a concept, maybe if you draw a triangle and say that what are those barriers which needs to really be looked at. So I was clearly thinking more from the solution point of view, that first, the conflict between aspiration and needs, and finding while you're finding the solution, technological solutions for the organizations, aspirations versus need. And second, using a lens of applicability. I think that a digital solution, which will be great for the guys who are into the go to the market, as well as people who are in the factories or doing the office work, would be very, very different. Their ability to also handle technology would be very, very different. So if you look at bringing solutions wherein there is a conflict between aspiration and the needs, if you set that right, I think that one should be able to really get the technology part right. If one is clearly looking at the applicability, whom are you getting this solution for? Whom are you really digitizing for? Is it for the customer? Who is in a space of, say, vernacular partial handicap, or somebody who is or a customer who is not in position to understand the language, or you are looking at people in the workforce level where they are at a factory level or at the market level. Unless you figure out also the right technology for the right applicability, again, that becomes a need or a challenge for organizations to solve for. And third, I was also thinking, and I find it a huge derailer or a challenge in the deployment is the adaptability, adoption of the processes, right?
Yeah.
Designing and creating a system is great, but if you have not done your full 9 yards of assessment that is it going to really work for you or not, after deploying it, you'll only feel that resources have been put, but the usage or the leverage of the technology is not happening the way it should really be happening. So I think how do you keep all these three things in mind in terms of adherence to the need, aspirations versus needs, and
Yeah.
also applicability? You will not be able to get the right solutions in place, and that's one of the barriers, in if I have to really look at, to solve for the leaders who are in the organizations, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think maybe towards the end, as we come to the end of our discussion, I think it might be important if you'd like to share your mantra, yeah, of being an effective people leader while leading digital transformation in your organization. What would be your mantra for that?
I think not that I can claim to be effective leader, but whatever my learning has been, Colin, your readiness to really find solutions wherever they are is something which is important, right? You need to understand that you don't know everything. It's important for you to really feel vulnerable and also gain strength from people who are around you in your team, and leverage everybody for the capabilities what they bring to the table, because finally uh, people have different level of exposure in the digital world, right? So my clear mantra had been that I don't hesitate in asking solutions or asking stupid questions to my team or to people who know things, and learning from them, and
Yeah,
also encouraging them to really be ahead of the curve, even if it comes to me, and being vulnerable about this area. And that what creates a sort of a environment wherein people can help each other learn, grow, and at the end of it, make organizations stronger and make organizations overall digital quotient or the process efficiency or the or overall delivery far more effective. So my mantra is clearly that I'm not end of everything. I'm not the one who knows everything. I'm vulnerable. I'm learning, and I can learn from everywhere and everyone. So that's how I have been really handling this whole digital stuff. I remember way back in 2004, Colin, I was in Bombay with Asian Paints. I was a plant
yeah,
HR at that point of time, right? And we had created one small system which used to track attendance, and it used to give visibility to the shop floor guys on how
yeah.
many people have entered from the gate, and they are still between gate and the shop floor sort of. Right? So that system was created with the help of some of the at that point of time tech uh, company. And I was absolutely delighted. The click of a button, you get on a mail, everything is there, that who has
Correct.
reached in, who has not reached in.
Absolutely.
From there, when we have reached to this stage wherein we are doing AI ML based algorithm and also figuring out the predictability around attrition, I think it is journey which has got completed. And I feel that one thing which has stuck to me is that ability to learn and ask questions to people who know things better than you has really helped. That's what my mind would be. How do you say it, Colin?
Yeah. So I think, and I'll sing this song once again, in terms of the way I see it, I see, there will be multiple roles that we as people leaders would really need to play. And I think the first and foremost one will of course be that of a change agent. And as I
Yeah,
said, at the cost of repetition, I'm singing the song once again, because I think the more you repeat it, the more it will remain and recall in highest memory. So I think change agent, I think, staying up to date on what's happening everywhere, that's going to be first and foremost most important. The second is about collaborating, and trying HR to be really that stitching that's able to collaborate across all functions, departments, which anyway they do. But I'm saying to really look at it from a larger long-term impact
yeah,
perspective. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
second thing that I would think about. The third, of course, would be actually really focus on a lot of innovation, to managing workforce in a non-traditional manner. Yeah. And this is going to be very important, where we're going to have a need to support innovation in some way, where we are going to have non-traditional workforces. We're going to have new workforce models that will be there. I think so. If I were to quickly summarize it, Yuvraj, it's about looking beyond what's visible.
Yeah.
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 Thinking slightly differently from where we last were. Starting small, starting simple,
Yeah.
and once we've decided which way we go, move real fast. Yeah.
Great. I think these
So
are very
so
simple ones, but very effective. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So this is what I feel. I think, if I were to quickly put it in a nutshell, I think all that we've said and discussed over the last 30 minutes, I think it's been truly enriching. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me personally, I mean, to your experiences, super. So thanks so much,
Thank you.
Yuvraj.
Thanks a lot, Colin, and great talking to you. And I think it was nice to know some of the stuff what you said. I think keeping it simple and moving ahead with an open mindset. I think great interacting with you. I look forward for whether to settle down so that one can travel to Bombay and meet up with you, or vice versa whenever you are
Likewise,
available.
likewise, of
We must
course.
catch up. Great,
Yeah.
great to hear it from you. Thank you so much, Colin.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks a
so
lot.
much.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Colin and Yuvraj, for sharing these intuitive insights and takeaways. Your POVs have really brought out a lot of clarity. For our audience, I hope you're sharing your learnings, your reflections with the outside community using our hashtag ETHR Next Tech. I'm going to see you on the other side now.